as you can see, my name is Kulsum and I'm an occupational therapist as well. And I am in an inclusive education team. So what our director, Mr. Dupree, spoke about this morning, you here at Vista Nova and our school, Athlone School for the Blind, as well as the other special schools, those are for special needs. But also us in inclusive education, we want the learners who can go back to mainstream to be able to go back to mainstream as well, or to public ordinary schools, that we as the IE team, so in every district, we go around and we equip those schools to become well-resourced and be able to assist learners with special needs. So that's just some background, because our speakers have shared a wealth of knowledge with us already about being able to go to schools, but the schools weren't resourced. So I just wanted to start off by saying, but there are teams like the one I'm in, where we are working on it, and we've come quite far already. What I also wanted to say is, so since I'm on the IE Inclusive Education team, I am based at Athlone School for the Blind, and I have the privilege of working with the smallest ones at our school between the ages of 3 and 5 years old. And then recently, as in last term, you know, as different things start happening, or we learn with our learners as well, we had a situation, and my colleague Roxanne, our counselor, was also here, and myself, we had to tackle it with class teacher and with the family as well, and it was around parenting. So, I mean, parenting, I wouldn't do justice to in 10 minutes, so I extracted 2 themes that I'm going to share with you today. So what happened in that situation, with any type of disability, you get the reaction from the environment of, ach, shame. Then they allow the child, or they think that the child can just do what they want to do, that they shouldn't be parented or they shouldn't be corrected. And that is where, as you can imagine, a host of other challenges or problems start happening. And that's what we picked up in the class. Where we had, he's now turning 5, but since last year already, we had a little one that really took over the ECD class. And we really, it's not yours. I'll speak about manga now. So then it also positively challenges us who work at the school, or work with your kids, to see how else can we help the children, and we learn in the process as well. So I spoke about the ach shame, and then allowing, and that is what the parent did. No fault of hers at the start, because we all learn as we go along. But also now it's become a challenge or a problem, and now we need to remedy it. Okay. So that's the one thing that I wanted to share with you in terms of where this is coming about. And also, the second theme, I'm going to share with you some tips, but the parents who are here have already shared that you need a community and you just need to try a whole lot of things. And the main thing that you can do without even all this knowledge is to connect with your child and to get to know your child. Right. So the first thing that guides me as well, as an OT and working with anybody, is that what are the messages that I'm giving out, because that is what people retain, and for our children it becomes their inner voice. So if the message is very negative, then that is what the child, that's your kids, and even us as adults, we're like, oh, I can't do that, I don't even want to try that. So that is the concern. So now the term that we're using today, positive parenting, is as the name explains. We're focusing on the children's strengths. So the weaknesses are there and we're going to work on it, but the message that you bring out verbally as well is going to look at the strengths of your children. Many times, or most times, without us realizing, but if you really examine what happens in a class situation or in the home situation, you realize that I didn't speak to my child much today. I only spoke to the child when I was reprimanding. So that's the example of They're hearing what they're doing wrong, but not what they're doing right. Okay. In terms of the example I used of the case that Roxanne and myself are working with a parent at our school, is that the basic boundary that she needed to stipulate with her child was that her yes is a yes and her no is her no. Okay, and once that is the basics that I think we all here know, even within ourselves, even if it's not with your children, like in your workplace or in your family, with your friends. If your yes is your yes, your no stays your no. That's your boundary that you need to set with children as well. So there are many parenting styles. Like I told you, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a nugget or some tips today. But what the one parent does with her child might not work with your child. So like I said, the first thing is to get to know your child. And how you get to know your child? You observe, you spend time with your child, and our previous speaker spoke about attachment. Okay. So let me give you an example. So Mangalisa's mom is sitting here in front. Her son is in the ECD class, and I work with him. So at step number 2, where it says emotional regulation or regulating your child. So if, for example, in any situation I see Manga is acting up or he's now just being a typical, Manga's turning 5 now, Emil? Yeah, typical, because he's going to grade R next year. Typical boy. Then, because we know Manga now already, and when I say we, it's like the teacher and myself, then we know Manga is a kinesthetic learner, which speaks to what Marlene was speaking about. He likes touch. So if you give Manga that quick opportunity for him to say what he wanted to say, and he loves hugs, then he will go back and he will now do the activity that he's supposed to do. Maddie, just behind, is also in our class. Getting to know Maddie, as you can see, Maddie is our secret agent. You don't even know Maddie is around you. But afterwards, if I want to know anything that happened in the class, I'll go to Maddie, and Maddie will enact it for me. She'll be, so her hearing sense is her asset, and that is what I will praise her on. So that's positive parenting. Okay, so like I said, things always sound easy when you speak about it like this. But tantrums happen, a lot of things happen. So 3 things that you can do is, firstly, in the moment, if there's a tantrum happening, you can't have a long, drawn-out conversation with a child. You actually just need to get their attention by saying, stop, right? And as parents, and like I said, this might work with some kids, but it might not work the same with other kids. Because my little nephew, I just raised my voice the other day, and his eyes teared up. So I was like, no, he's a sensitive boy. I can't do this with him now, you know. But with others, like the little boy we are now having on a behavior program at school, who's also in the ECD class, with him we needed to actually say stop, because he started biting other kids, he's hitting teachers and myself, and you know, just wanting his own way. And we found out a bit actually late that it wasn't just him adjusting to coming to school, it's actually that mom is allowing him at home. So when he does tantrums at home, she gives him the cell phone and then he can play with it. So he hurts other kids at home as well. So as we all know, what we're doing, the school situation, in the class situation, it needs to go over to the home situation as well. And then if we have synergy, then it's going to help the child and it's going to help us as well. So to fast forward the story, open communication, you speak to your child. All disabilities, all children, they want to speak to you. They're still learning. It's like Marlene said, we're filling up the bookcase, right? So that's step number 1. The second one, it says emotional regulation. But like, for example, Maddie was now niggly, and I understand because she's got a routine, and by 12 o'clock they sleep every day at school. So she's tired. So if we regulate that, you can't punish her because it's actually just that her body needs something. So you regulate it, and now you can see it's a tantrum for a reason. You need to see the behavior is always a need, that the person has. And lastly, what people think is a bad thing is discipline. Discipline doesn't mean how our boss director said he got a hiding over the hands at school. It's not always that, but you need to be put on the correct path. So I have a quick recipe to share with you.